Blood dripped from Princess Zalara's blue hand as she pressed it against the gash on her forehead. The attack had come without warning. One moment, her royal shuttle was cruising peacefully toward the Centauri system. The next moment, explosions rocked the ship as vortex pirates struck with deadly force. Princess Zalara of the Lumidian Empire now stood alone on the command deck. The emergency lights blinked red, making her blue skin look purple in flashes. The ship drifted silently through space, all engines dead. Through the cracked viewport, she could see only darkness and distant stars that offered no help. "Captain, Muro," she called out, her voice shaking. No answer came. She already knew what she would find when she checked the other rooms. Her 4 royal guards lay dead, their bodies thrown against walls by the force of the attack. Their skin, once vibrant blue like hers, had already turned gray in death. Zalara found her pilot slumped over the controls, still breathing but deeply unconscious. Blood trickled from his ears. A bad sign. She tried the communication system. Again. Nothing but static answered her. "Father will never know what happened to me," she whispered, touching the royal mark on her neck. As the only child of Emperor Zoltan, her death would throw the Lumidian Empire into chaos. A loud beeping sound made her jump. The proximity sensor. Another ship was coming closer. Zalara's heart raced. Had the pirates returned to finish their work? She grabbed the ceremonial dagger from her belt. Not much of a weapon, but better than nothing. Through the viewport, she saw not another pirate ship but a small human freighter. It looked old and patched in many places, like someone had fixed it again and again over many years. The ship lined up with her docking port. Zalara swallowed hard and stood tall. If she would die today, she would die like a true Lumidian royal, with courage. The airlock door slid open with a hiss. Zalara held her dagger ready. A human male walked through. He was not very tall for a human, with short brown hair and a face that showed he had seen hard times. He wore simple work clothes and carried a medical bag. "Whoa there," he said, raising his hands when he saw her dagger. "I'm here to help." His eyes moved quickly around the room, taking in the damage and the unconscious pilot. "Who are you?" Zalara demanded, not lowering her weapon. "Name's Alan Blackwood," he said calmly. "I picked up your distress signal. Not many ships out this far." He pointed to the pilot. "Your friend needs help fast." Zalara's translator changed his words to her language, but she still studied him with suspicion. Humans were new in space. The Lumidian Empire had only started talking with Earth 10 years ago. "I am Princess Zalara, daughter of Emperor Zoltan, heir to the Lumidian throne," she said, her voice musical and proud despite her fear. Alan barely reacted to her title. He just nodded and walked past her to check the pilot. "Princess or not, you're in real trouble here. Those were vortex pirates, right? They never leave survivors." He touched the pilot's neck, checking for a pulse. "Bad brain injury. I've seen this before. Vortex sonic weapons." He looked back at Zalara. "Listen, Your Highness, we have maybe 15 minutes before those pirates realize they didn't finish the job. They'll come back for anything valuable, including a royal hostage." Zalara finally lowered her dagger. "Our engines are dead. The communication system is destroyed." "My ship is small, but it works," Alan said, already lifting the pilot. "And it has a medical bay. Help me with him." "Why would you help us?" Zalara asked, still not trusting. In her royal court, no one ever did anything without wanting something in return. Alan stopped and looked at her with deep brown eyes that seemed to have seen too much pain. "Because it's the right thing to do. Where I come from, we don't leave people to die in space." Something in his honest face made Zalara believe him. She put her dagger away and helped lift the pilot. "The vortex will track us," she warned. "Let them try," Alan said with a small smile. "My ship may not look like much, but she's full of surprises." They carried the pilot through the airlock and into Alan's ship. The inside was clean but cramped. Maps and odd trinkets from different worlds hung on the walls. It smelled of coffee and machine oil. "Strap in," Alan told her, pointing to a seat in the small cockpit as he gently laid the pilot on a fold-out medical bed. "This might get rough." As Alan's fingers flew over the controls, Zalara looked back at her royal shuttle, through the window. All her life she had been protected, surrounded by guards and servants. Now her life was in the hands of a human stranger. "Thank you," she said quietly. Alan glanced at her, surprised. "Don't thank me yet, Princess. We're not safe until we're far from here." He pulled a lever and the ship detached from the shuttle with a clunk. "But I promise you this, I'll get you home alive." The stars shifted as the small ship turned and accelerated away, leaving the broken royal shuttle behind. Zalara didn't know it yet, but this moment would change her life and the fate of 2 civilizations forever. After 3 days on Alan's ship, Princess Zalara still felt out of place. His ship, named Horizon Chaser, was nothing like her royal shuttle. It was small and noisy. Pipes ran along the walls. The air smelled of engine oil. The ship made constant clicking and humming sounds that kept her awake at night. The princess sat at the small metal table in what Alan called the kitchen, though it was just a corner with a food maker and 2 chairs. She picked at the strange human food, something Alan called oatmeal, and tried not to make a face. "Not like your royal meals, huh?" Alan asked as he walked in. He checked on the pilot, who lay on a medical bed nearby, still unconscious. "Your friend is stable, but his brain got hit hard by those vortex weapons. The way they mess with brain signals. I've seen it before." "You know much about vortex weapons," Zalara said, watching him closely. "Most humans have never even seen vortex pirates." Alan's face grew serious. "I was a combat medic on a human warship called the Frontier. We fought vortex ships 3 years ago when they first entered human space." "You were a warrior? A soldier?" She was surprised he seemed too gentle for war. "I was," he said, sitting across from her. "Now I just want to help people. We're heading to a place called Outpost 7. It's safe there. They have better doctors for your pilot, and you can call your people." Zalara was about to ask more when a loud alarm started blaring. Alan jumped up and ran to the front of the ship. Zalara followed quickly. On the control screen, 3 red dots moved toward them. Alan's face turned pale. "Vortex ships. 3 of them. They found us." "How?" Zalara asked, fear making her voice shake. "They must have put a tracker on your shuttle." Alan's hands moved fast over the controls. "They're coming fast. We can't outrun them." "What do we do?" Zalara tried to sound brave, but her heart was racing. She had never faced death so directly before. "See that?" Alan pointed ahead at a field of floating rocks. "That's an asteroid field. We're going in." "In there? We'll crash." "Those vortex ships are big war vessels. They can't move well in tight spaces. My ship is small and fast." He looked at her with a small smile. "Trust me, Princess. I've done crazier things." The Horizon Chaser shot forward toward the massive rocks floating in space. Zalara grabbed the edge of her seat as Alan turned the ship sideways to slip between 2 giant asteroids. Behind them, the vortex ships followed, firing red energy beams that barely missed them. One beam hit an asteroid near them, breaking it into pieces that tumbled toward them. "Hold on!" Alan yelled, spinning the ship in a way that made Zalara's stomach turn. They missed the flying rocks by inches. For 10 minutes they flew through the asteroid field with the vortex ships close behind. Zalara watched in amazement as Alan steered with incredible skill, never hitting a single rock. One of the vortex ships wasn't so lucky. It crashed into a large asteroid and exploded in a ball of fire. 2 more, Alan said through gritted teeth. Sweat ran down his face as he focused on flying. They came to a section where the asteroids were packed closer, together. The gaps were barely big enough for the Horizon Chaser. "We can't go through there," Zalara said. "It's too tight." "We don't have to," Alan replied with a grin. He pushed a button Zalara hadn't seen before. "Watch this." The ship shuddered, and then Zalara gasped as the view outside the window changed. She could still see the asteroids, but they looked different, like they were seeing them through water. "What is this?" she whispered. "Cloaking device," Alan said proudly. "Makes us invisible to their scanners. A little gift from my military days. They watched as the two remaining Vortex ships slowed down, their scanners sweeping the area but finding nothing. After several tense minutes, the ships turned and left. "You did it," Zalara said, her voice filled with new respect. "You saved us." "We're not safe yet," Alan replied, turning the ship carefully. "But we're alive. That's what counts." As they left the asteroid field behind, Zalara studied this strange human. He had fought in wars, yet he risked his life to save her. He had amazing technology, yet he lived on this small, simple ship. "Why did you leave your military?" she asked as they returned to the kitchen. Alan was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at her with sad eyes. "I saw too much death, too much pain. One day I had to choose between following orders or saving lives." He shrugged. "I chose saving lives. The military didn't like that choice." "So now you travel alone in space?" Zalara asked. "Not alone at the moment," he said with a small smile. "I have a Limidian princess and her pilot for company." Zalara found herself smiling back. For the first time since the attack, she felt something besides fear. She felt hope. "How long until we reach Outpost 7? She asked. "4 more days if we don't run into more trouble," Alan replied. "Try to get some rest, Princess. You're safe for now." As Alan turned back to check their course, Zalara watched him. This human was nothing like she had expected. He was brave, skilled, and kind, and he had saved her life without asking for anything. In return, the more she learned about Alan Blackwood, the more she wanted to know. Outpost 7 looked like a giant metal spider from space. It was built on a big rock floating in the darkness with metal arms stretching out in all directions. Lights blinked along these arms, showing where ships could dock. "There it is," Alan said as they got closer. "Not pretty, but it's safe. People from all over the galaxy come to trade here." Zalara pressed her face to the window. She had never seen anything like it. Her world had beautiful curved buildings made of shining crystal. This place was all sharp angles and metal. "We'll dock at the civilian port," Alan explained. "Fewer questions that way. My friend Samantha can help us send a secret message to your people." "Can we trust your friend?" Zalara asked. After the attack, she didn't know who to trust. "With our lives," Alan said. "Sam's a former intelligence officer, a spy basically. She knows how to keep secrets." As they got closer, something bothered Zalara. "The Vortex knew exactly when to attack my shuttle. Someone must have told them our secret route." Alan looked at her sharply. "You think someone from your people betrayed you?" "It makes sense," she said sadly. "Only my father's inner circle knew. My travel plans. Well, my friend Sam is human. She doesn't work with your people, so at least we know she's not your traitor." They docked smoothly, and Alan arranged for medical workers to take the still unconscious pilot to a better facility. Then he led Zalara into the station. She pulled a hood over her head to hide her blue skin and the royal markings on her face. The inside of Outpost 7 was crowded and noisy. People from dozens of different worlds pushed past them. Strange smells filled the air: cooking food, engine, fuel, and alien perfumes. Traders called out from small shops trying to sell their goods. Zalara stayed close to Alan. She had never been in such a chaotic place. As a princess, she had always moved through cleared paths with guards around her. They were halfway to Samantha's shop when Alan suddenly stiffened. He grabbed Zalara's arm and pulled her into a small side passage. "What's wrong?" she whispered. "Vortex agents," he said quietly, peering around the corner. 3 of them, by the main hall. Their scanning faces. Cold fear gripped Zalara's heart. How did they find us? "They didn't, not yet, but they will if we keep going this way." Alan looked around quickly. "We need to find another way to Sam's place." They turned to go back, but 2 more Vortex agents appeared, blocking their path. These weren't pirates like the ones who attacked her shuttle. These were trained soldiers with metal parts built into their faces and hands, cybernetic implants that made them deadly fighters. "Run!" Alan pushed Zalara back the way they had come. One of the Vortex agents pointed at them and shouted, Then, everything exploded into chaos. People screamed and ran in all directions as the Vortex agents pulled out weapons. Alan reached inside his jacket and took out a small blaster gun that Zalara hadn't known he had. "This way," he shouted, pulling her toward a service door. The door was locked, but Alan shot the control panel, and it slid open. They ran through narrow maintenance tunnels with the sounds of Vortex agents close behind them. Red bolts of energy hit the walls around them. "Down here." Alan pointed to a ladder. They climbed down 2 levels, then ran through more tunnels. Zalara's lungs burned. She had never run like this before. They came to a junction where 3 tunnels met. Alan hesitated, not sure which way to go. That moment cost them. A Vortex agent appeared at the end of the tunnel behind them. He fired his weapon before Alan could turn. The red energy beam hit Alan in the shoulder, spinning him around. He fell against the wall with a cry of pain. Zalara screamed as Alan slid down to the floor. Blood soaked through his jacket. Without thinking, she grabbed his fallen blaster and fired at the Vortex agent. The shot hit him square in the chest and he dropped to the ground. "Go," Alan gasped, holding his wounded shoulder. "Find Sam. Tell her Alan sent you. Delta Protocol." "I'm not leaving you," Zalara said firmly. On her world, royals were taught to save themselves first. But she couldn't do that. Not after everything Alan had done for her. "Stubborn princess," Alan muttered as she helped him to his feet. He leaned heavily against her, his face pale with pain. They moved more slowly now, with Alan directing her through the maze of tunnels. Twice they had to hide as Vortex agents ran past. Finally, they reached a service exit that led to a quieter part of the station. "Sam's shop is just ahead," Alan said, his voice weak. "The small one with the blue sign." They staggered toward a shop with a faded blue sign that said, "Ford Communications." Inside, they could see shelves of strange devices and equipment. Before they could reach it, 2 more Vortex agents stepped out from a side passage. Zalara raised the blaster, but she knew they wouldn't make it. The agents were already aiming their weapons. Suddenly, shots rang out from behind them. Both Vortex agents fell to the ground. Zalara turned to see a tall human woman with gray hair standing in the doorway of the shop, holding a large gun. "Took you long enough, Blackwood," the woman said, looking at Alan with worried eyes despite her tough words. "Got held up in traffic, Sam." Alan replied with a weak smile. The woman, Samantha, quickly helped them into her shop and locked the door behind them. As Zalara helped Alan to a chair, she saw him wincing in pain. "He needs help," Zalara told Samantha. "He was shot protecting me." Samantha looked at Zalara, taking in her blue skin and royal markings. "So you're the Lumidian princess everyone's looking for." She shook her head. Alan always did know how to find trouble. "Can you help him?" Zalara asked desperately. "Don't worry," Samantha said, already pulling medical supplies from a cabinet. "This isn't the first time I've patched him up. Probably won't be the last either." As Samantha worked on Alan's wound, Zalara held his hand tightly. She had never met anyone like him. Someone who would risk everything for a stranger. "Thank you," she whispered. Alan squeezed her hand weakly. "No need for thanks between friends, princess." Friends. The word made Zalara smile despite the danger they were in. She had never had a true friend before. Someone who valued her for herself, not for her title. Samantha's shop had a hidden back room. It was small but clean, with medical equipment that looked too advanced for a simple store owner. She helped Alan onto a narrow bed and cut away his bloody shirt. "Vortex energy weapon," she said, examining the angry red wound on his shoulder. "Nasty, but I've seen worse." Zalara watched anxiously as Samantha cleaned the wound and applied a clear gel that sealed it. Then she gave Alan an injection that made him relax. "He'll be okay," Samantha told Zalara. "The medicine will help him heal faster." "Thank you," Zalara said. She looked around the room at the equipment. "You have much medical knowledge for a shop owner," Samantha smiled. "I'm many things besides a shop owner, princess." "How do you know I'm a princess?" Zalara asked, suddenly alert. "Alan sent me a coded message before you arrived." Samantha handed Zalara a cup of hot liquid. It's just tea. It will help calm your nerves. Solara took the cup but didn't drink. The Vortex were waiting for us. How did they know we were coming to Outpost 7? They've been placing spies here for months, Samantha said, sitting in a chair across from her. We've been trying to find them all. We? Solara asked. Who is we? Before Samantha could answer, Alan groaned and opened his eyes. He tried to sit up but winced in pain. Easy, Samantha warned. That wound needs time to heal. The princess, Alan mumbled, looking around anxiously. Is she safe? I'm here, Solara said, moving to his side. Something warm filled her chest at his concern for her. Good, Alan sighed, relaxing back onto the bed. Sam, the Vortex. I know, Samantha cut him off. They're all over the station. Security is looking for them now. Alan looked at Solara. I need to tell her the truth, Sam. Samantha hesitated, then nodded. She deserves to know. The truth about what? Solara asked, looking between them. Alan pushed himself up to a sitting position, ignoring Samantha's disapproving look. I haven't been completely honest with you, Princess. Solara felt a cold knot form in her stomach. What do you mean? I'm not just an ex-military medic who happens to haul cargo, Alan explained. Sam and I work for a human intelligence network. We track Vortex activities in this part of space. You're spies, Solara said, stepping back from the bed. Intelligence. Operatives, Samantha corrected, but she nodded. But yes, essentially. Our network picked up chatter about a planned attack on a Lumidian royal shuttle, Alan continued. I volunteered to try to find you. We didn't know if you had survived the first attack. Solara tried to understand what this meant. So meeting me wasn't an accident? I really did pick up your distress signal, Alan said. But I was already searching for you. Call it a guided accident. Why? Solara demanded. Why would humans care about a Lumidian princess? Samantha and Alan exchanged looks. Show her, Alan said. Samantha went to a computer panel on the wall and pulled up a series of images. They showed maps of space with red lines connecting different star systems. The Vortex are playing a long game, Samantha explained. They're working to destroy relations between the major powers in the galaxy. If you had died in what looked like a simple pirate attack, your father might have blamed humans for not keeping the trade routes safe. That could have led to bad relations between our peoples, Alan added. Maybe even war. And while that happened, the Vortex would grow stronger. Solara took this in slowly. So saving me was just politics? Alan shook his head, then winced at the movement. The mission was political. How I carried it out was my choice. What does that mean? Solara asked. It means I didn't have to risk my life to save your pilot, Alan said softly. I didn't have to take you on my ship instead of just calling for a Lumidian vessel. I didn't have to get shot protecting you. Those were my choices. Samantha cleared her throat. I have a secure channel ready to your father's private communication room. And I mean really secure, not the kind that got hacked and led to your ambush. Solara hesitated. If there really was a traitor in her father's court, talking to him might put them all in more danger. But she needed to warn him. Do it, she decided. Samantha pressed some buttons and a screen on the wall lit up. After a moment, Emperor Zoltan's face appeared. He was a tall, regal Lumidian with dark blue skin and gold marks on his face. Even through the screen, his relief was clear. Daughter, he said, his deep voice filled with emotion. We feared the worst. Father, Solara replied formally. I live because of human help, but I bring bad news. The attack was not random. Someone who knew my travel plans betrayed us to the Vortex. Her father's face hardened. We suspected this when Ambassador Drex disappeared right after you left. Drex? Solara was shocked. The ambassador had been her father's trusted advisor for over 20 years. His betrayal is now confirmed, the Emperor said. What we did not know was if you were still alive. Where are you? Solara glanced at Alan, who nodded slightly. I am at Outpost 7, Father, with humans who risked their lives to protect me. The Emperor studied Alan and Samantha through the screen. Then the Lumidian Empire owes these humans a great debt. More than that, Solara said, standing tall. I believe we should form an official alliance. The vortex threat affects us all. We are stronger together than apart. Her father looked surprised but not unhappy. You speak boldly, daughter. Perhaps your time away has taught you something valuable. Not just something valuable, Father, Solara replied, looking at Alan, but someone valuable as well. As the call ended, Solara turned to Alan. The way she saw him had changed. He was not just a brave human who had saved her. He was someone who had chosen to protect her when he didn't have to. And that, she realized, was worth more than any political alliance. 2 days later, a huge Lumidian royal ship arrived at Outpost 7. It was shaped like a giant arrowhead with blue lights glowing along its sides. It was 20 times bigger than Alan's small freighter. Solara stood in the docking bay next to Alan, watching as royal guards in shining armor filed out of the ship. After all the danger they had faced together, the moment to say goodbye had finally come. Your shoulder is healing well, Solara said, looking at Alan's arm in its sling. Sam's a good doctor, Alan replied with a small smile. I'll be back to normal in a week. They fell silent, both aware that in minutes Solara would board that ship and return to her royal life. Alan would go back to his secret work fighting the vortex. I will tell my father about forming an alliance, Solara said. He will listen. You have shown him that humans can be trusted. Some of us anyway, Alan joked. Solara stepped closer to him. You saved my life many times. You got hurt protecting me. In my culture, that creates a special bond that can never be broken. Just doing my job, Princess, Alan said. But his eyes told a different story. Was it really just your job when you used your body to shield me from vortex weapons? Solara asked softly. Was it your job to tell me stories about Earth at night when I was afraid? Was it your job to risk your life for my pilot when your mission was only to save me? Alan looked away. That's who I am. I protect people. Look at me, Alan, Solara commanded, and when he did, she placed her blue hand over his heart. This was a sacred gesture in Lumidian culture. In 15 years, I will become queen. I will need people I can trust, people who see me as Solara, not just as a princess. Are you offering me a job? Alan asked with a small smile. I am offering you a place by my side, she replied seriously. If you want it. Alan covered her hand with his own. That's a big offer. You barely know me. I know enough, she said simply. I know that when I was in danger, the universe sent me a human with a brave heart and a small ship. That tells me everything I need to know. The head of the royal guard approached them. Your Highness, we must depart. The Emperor is waiting. Solara nodded. I will be there shortly. As she prepared to board, she turned to Alan one last time. Will you think about my offer? Alan bowed slightly, wincing as the movement pulled at his wound. I'll think about it. But Princess, I'm just a human. Your people live twice as long as mine. In 15 years, I'll be much older. Solara smiled, and the sight made Alan's heart beat faster. Then we will have to make every year count. She leaned forward and touched her forehead to his, the Lumidian gesture of deepest respect. Then she turned and walked toward her ship, her head held high. As her ship departed, taking her back to her royal duties and her distant world, Solara made a silent promise. No matter what happened between their two peoples, she would never forget the human who had saved her. Not just from death, but from a life without knowing what true courage looked like. And as Alan watched her ship disappear into the stars, he found himself already planning his next mission. He had faced vortex pirates, survived energy weapons, and navigated asteroid fields. Surely visiting a Lumidian royal court couldn't be more dangerous than that. In the cold emptiness of space, he had found something he never expected. Someone who saw past his rough edges to the person underneath, and that, he decided, was worth crossing the galaxy for. Samantha appeared beside him. Ready to get back to work? We still have vortex agents to catch. Alan smiled, his eyes still on the EO stars where Zalara's ship had vanished. Actually, Sam, I think I might need some vacation time. I've been invited to visit a palace.